Hey everybody, PJ back here with Exotic Car Hacks, and you know what time it is? It is time to be looking at cars because it's time for me to buy a new car. Now, we've been talking about new cars for quite some time, right? Every 6 months or so I get bored, I always need cars, and I love how on the internet, every YouTuber or person out there that always talks about buying a new car typically is looking at cars on the internet or driving them, but doesn't actually buy them, but they title the video, I'm buying a new car. So instead of actually titling the video, I'm buying a new car, I'm actually going to show you the car, not that I'm thinking of buying, but the car that I actually just bought. So come closer and take a look. This is, and by the way, if you're wondering why I have the Devil's Dictionary here, is that this is a guide on how to actually get rid of trolls on the internet. But anyways, here, let's take a look here at this 600 LT, because this is my latest and newest car, the 600 LT. And here you can see it's Fresco blue, and it has every possible option the 600 LT comes with. It's at Chicago Motor Cars now. It should be here later this week. It is all carbon fiber everywhere, and it is absolutely phenomenal in terms of an actual spec of a car. It's almost perfect, but it's missing one thing, and I want to kind of show you what that is. I mean, look, it even has the perfect center seats, which are the 30K options. Beautiful. It's got the carbon roof, all the carbon options and everything else, and it just works, right? Just a beautiful car. But it is still missing one thing, and I want to show you in person what it's actually missing, because it's not quite here yet, but there is something that's here that isn't missing that same option. And this wasn't a joke. I actually just bought this car, so you're going to see it in a week or so. But let's take a look. Let's go outside and take a look at something that this car is missing and why it's so important. Follow me out. So this is actually my McLaren 600 LT with the one thing that my blue one is missing, and that is a roof scoop. Now, you may be actually wondering, well, wait a minute, if you just bought a blue one, then why do you have this gray one here? Well, I actually own this car as of right now. I actually bought this car about a week ago. I've been tracking this car for over like 7 months, and I finally found it. And where did I find it? Well, I found it on the internet first with its owner on eBay. He wouldn't sell it to me, and then he decided to trade it into a dealership who also wouldn't sell it to me for the price I wanted. And then finally, another dealer bought it, and they were willing to give it to me exactly at what I was willing to pay. Now, this is the beauty of it, because ever since I tracked it down, there's only 100 miles more on the car, and it's absolutely perfect. So this isn't a base or anywhere near a base 600 LT. It is the most loaded 600 LT money can buy. It's a $370,000 sticker 600 LT. To give you some kind of reference point, a really well-loaded 600 LT like the one that I just bought, the blue one that I just showed you, is roughly about a $325,000 sticker. That means this car is about almost $35,000 more than that car. And why is that? Because of this one freaking thing called the roof scoop, which you can clearly see here, and clearly absolutely beautiful. So now I'm going to pull this car out and show you why this is almost the perfect 600 LT. And I'm going to show you what's actually keeping it from being that way, because it is nearly a flawless car. All right, guys, listen to this. It's literally perfect. I want you to try to get that in. It's got exhaust on the roof. It's all carbon fiber. You can see that. There's a giant roof scoop here that literally is functional and is like killing pigeons and eating them while you drive, or just putting air to the engine, whichever way you want to look at it. And it's absolutely perfect inside. I mean, it drives great, it looks great, it's innovative, it's different, it's built with quality. So what could possibly be wrong with this? Well, it's not that there's something wrong with it, it's that it's almost unusable for one simple reason. And I want to point out that I am like slightly overweight. I give myself an 8-pound overweight point there. But this is unheard of difficult to fucking get out of. It's like impossible. And you literally have to like throw yourself like this and then like get up and get out of the car. So this is the issue with these fucking center seats, is that they're impossible to get in and out of. Now, you definitely can't fuck in them. And this is, I guarantee you, that shit's impossible. Even if you're good at it, I get it. But this is impossible. But in addition to that, it's just impossible to get in and out of. And it actually hurts. I can't tell you how many, me and my friends who have had similar cars with similar seats have had like back issues, hip issues, or have banged their shoulders on the seats, or literally my crotch is like just dying. So basically, this car is incredibly beautiful, and I want to show you some of the features that make up this MSO very, very special 600 LT. So first off, you can see this has all 3 MSO exterior carbon options. You can see it has carbon fiber here, it has carbon on the deck lid here, it has carbon with the club screw pack here on top, including the roof scooping carbon. It has carbon mirrors. It has these things called carbon tunnels down here, carbon side skirts. It has the carbon louvers, and then it has the entire front in carbon. Now it has the center seats as well, and it even has telemetry, which is obviously this little camera, which is actually pretty rare to find on these 600 LTs, because a lot of people will spend 10 grand on a camera. It's just that you can't really look at, it just records your track time. Now there is the other thing, which is I want to show you this roof scoop. So take a look here, because on the surface you see the scoop, like I said, that can eat pigeons. But if you look deep inside, and I want you to look here inside at the bottom, and you'll see on the roof what the structure of that roof scoop is, which is nuts, because that's where the air goes into, and you can see the vents in the back and how they go into the engine, which is really, really impressive. You can see the harness system, which is really, really beautiful overall to look at, right? So truly a work of art, if you ask me, for a car that just costs roughly 300,000 used, if not less, depending on the lack of options, which you shouldn't buy these without these options. But this car also has the designer package for the Alcantara, which means the Alcantara is actually blue and black, which looks really, really, really good, and you can really see that. It's just really well put together. So you get all this roof scoop stuff, and you even get this special paint, which is Sarte Gray, which is roughly an $8,000 option. So it's just a lot of car for the money, and you can't take that away from it of how innovative this exhaust system is on a 300K car. And this is pretty cool because it literally shoots flames from here, and this is why this part of the exhaust is like ceramic, so it doesn't actually burn any carbon fiber or anything off, which is, again, super cool. And every car has its it factor, something that makes it super unique and awesome. And what makes this car actually unique? On the NSX, it was the steering wheel, which was rather unique to the NSX and really gave it character. On this car, you could say that it's the exhaust on the back coming off of the roof instead of the actual like back bumper. But there's one other thing that's just spectacular about the experience of a 600 LT, and that is the view from here. Once you're inside the car and you're actually looking out here, you have to understand that this window almost feels panoramic, and you can see all the heat coming out of the exhaust when you gun it, and the little flames that come out, and you get a perfect view of a harness, of a camera from the roof, and you also get this perfect view of the exhaust, the air brake, and everything else that comes with it. It's just nuts. Like it's just such an incredible experience when you're in the driver's seat. Now, getting in and out of the driver's seat, as I spoke about earlier, is quite difficult, and I want to show you how difficult it is, because it's really, really annoying. All right, so first you have to sit down here. And this is the other problem. Then you gotta go in, and you gotta hold yourself again to like slide in. The problem is, you see, you have this top part here knocking your shoulder. So if you fall hard, you could actually hurt yourself pretty hard. Then you actually get in. Now you're in, and then you go in, and you're done. It's cool. It's exciting. It's interesting. But like I said, getting in and out is quite difficult. So now I want to invite you into the seat next to me, so you can actually see what makes this car better, and maybe we'll go for a quick ride so I can show you how cool the 600 LT really is. Come on in. All right, so you're gonna be able to see here that the interior looks pretty much like a 570. And reality is, it is a 570. It's built off a 570 platform. Now, you saw that we've owned 2 previous 570s here at Exotic Car Hacks, and I've loved both of them so much that I bought them one after the other, even including Project Nemesis, which was the completely customized wide body one by Vorsteiner that I built, you know, with you guys on YouTube. So now we're looking at what makes the 600LT really better. Well, it's the same argument as the Performante versus the Huracan. I call the Huracan a huge piece of shit, but I call the Performante one of the greatest and most important exotic cars under $1 million. And yet, on the surface and on numbers, they seem to be the same. 30 more horsepower on paper, you know, just about like 50,000 more in terms of MSRP, but yet a significant difference from a driver experience. And I think the 600LT has followed through with that the exact same way. It takes everything that didn't work in the 570 and takes it away and makes it even better, and everything that worked, it literally just emphasizes it tenfold to make it even better. So we get the perfect version of what I always have said was the best product to come out of McLaren. A usable, incredibly well put together exotic that, while the 570 is now cheaper and more affordable by most, having an entry point of $130,000, $140,000, now you're getting the 600LT, which is the true McLaren 570 body that we've been waiting for. So there are some improvement compared to before. So in the first 570 cars, you've noticed I had a lot of issues with the iris system, and while I still think it's fucked, it's a lot better than what it was. So the 720 system is extremely complicated. When you click the vent system, you don't have this little feature, so you don't even know how to up or down when it comes to the vents, which doesn't make any sense. It should be simpler. Now, with the iris system though here, you get all the exact same concept that you have in the 570. Nothing's really changed, except that it actually works now. When you connect the phone, it finds it instantly. When you go to the radio or you go to the media, it finds it instantly. Everything actually works. It takes much less time once you activate the car for it to come on, and it just works. And I think that was the biggest issue with the iris system in the 570, is it didn't work. The iris system in the 720 is just a piece of shit because you can't find anything. There is one other improvement too, and it's actually in the dash here. You get a cool little photo of a little 600LT car. Now on the 720, you get this little thing that comes down and it goes up and it's this race mode. You don't get that here, but it's still pretty decent. You just get a cute little photo. It's not the color of your car, but it makes you feel good. There are also the other issues that have always been around with the 570. It's forgiving, but I don't really know if it's something you can use. Now, when you buy this car with the Senna seats, it almost guarantees you will never drive this car, but when you want to go driving. Like, there is no way you can take this car out to dinner and somehow justify that it's cool to fall on the floor every time you want to go out and get out of your car, especially if you park in front of a club and then you're rolling off the car like a fat ass. So there is a little bit of issues that, again, here you can see that you don't have any type of glove box. And this is a huge storage issue because we don't have a glove box. The other thing you'll notice here in the doors is you have these little pockets before that were actually hidden. Now they're open, probably to save weight, because somehow 0.05, like, you know, pounds will make a difference. But you can barely put a little sunglass thing here. And so you really don't have any storage except this little center area. And so the center area barely fits a Glock and just about nothing else. So you have your little glasses, a gun, and that's about it. You can maybe put your wallet there. But other than that, you have zero storage space. So no storage space, an actual iris system that works much, much, much better, and seats you can't get in and out of. But otherwise, it's really cool and it's near perfect. So let's go for a quick ride and see how awesome the 600LT is and what makes it so much better than the regular 570. All right, guys, so let's go for a little ride. And then I know many of you are wondering, like, well, why the hell do you buy a blue one if you have this perfect roof scoop car? So we're going to talk about that in a moment. But I want you to kind of understand what's different about this car that you could find in the 600 I couldn't find in the 570. So first off, you have this middle center here, which is the same as it was in the 570. You hit the active button, then you have your both sport and little track levers that can control the suspension and the engine, and you have your little thing that turns off the automatic on-off switch for the engine, which is extremely annoying. And you continue to have this in just about all the 570 models, right? I mean, and in all the McLaren models in general. And of course, your dash changes based on what features you select. So if you go to track, now your dash goes to a completely different track mode, which is cool. And then if we go to sport, it goes to sport mode, which is really, really cool, right? And everything kind of makes sense. The other part that makes the McLarens really awesome, for those of you that haven't followed my 570 segment, is you get these paddles, which of course you have in just about every F1 car, but on this side, you can both go up by clicking up, or you can go down by clicking inwards. So I don't need to use this hand to go up or down. I can just click in or click out. And it's pretty cool to see that if with one hand, you can literally do that. So if you have coffee in your hand, you can shift and you don't have to go to automatic, which is cool. But that's about really the only thing that makes McLaren's like driving dynamics cooler and different. But otherwise, it's just the same thing. But listen to this. You can hear from inside the car how different this is. It's extremely loud, even inside the car. And I think you can thank the roof scoop for that, which makes it very, very enjoyable. And it gives it an air intake turbo sound that just you can't experience without. So it's really, really a cool feature, something that you just don't expect again in a 300K car. And it's historically helped the McLarens retain their value better because they're so limited compared to others. But listen to that. It's crazy. You know, I think it's not only extremely fast, and it's extremely agile, and of course, it's absolutely awesome to be able to, again, experience this kind of speed from a car that you can drive on the street. I wouldn't say every day, because I don't think you can drive this car with this seat configuration every day. But then here's the harsh reality is that if you don't have the seats, the car really loses its core value, where everybody wants the center seats, but I think they want them because they haven't really experienced how impossible it is to get in and out of. It seems to be the really good and perfect track car, but that's about all that it really is. It isn't as usable as a Performante or even a GT3 RS with bucket seats, because the bucket seats in that you could get in and out of with ease. I've been in these seats for an hour, and while your back doesn't hurt that much, getting in and out still hurts you to get, like physically hurts you, and then you just sit in the seat and you're okay as long as you don't have to move. So, you know, how cool is it from a driving standpoint? Well, it gets good gas mileage, not that anyone gives a shit. It's extremely fast, it handles really, really good, and it's a lot more controllable than you think. But while it goes really fast and it's not all-wheel drive, it's still super steady, super, and again, you hear it, it's an exciting car in and out. So, you know, does it get any better than this for McLaren? And it leads me kind of to my final point about McLarens themselves, like about what the brand is doing, because a lot of people are talking about cannibalization, and they're coming out with a new model every month, every year, etc. And while I agree that I think they're coming out with too many models, I also agree that they are now starting to shift in the wrong direction. Why? Because I think McLaren is such a precise scalpel when it comes to its racing heritage. It's about enabling technology to create perfect drivers. Like the cars enable the drivers to enhance their driving experience all around. It doesn't rely on the driver to push the car. The car learns the driver and vice versa. And it works really, really well. The issue I have with McLaren's now is that with the birth of the new GT, it now goes into a space where it's become a normal car manufacturer, no longer a race car manufacturer. And as a result of that, it's created a lot of issues when it comes to more product line coming out that doesn't fit into the yield of models and affecting values on cars that it really shouldn't do that to. So that is why I believe the 600 LT might be really the core of what McLaren should only be doing, looking at how to be the best version of its own cars like this. So now let's go outside for a second and we can actually hear, just turn the car off, and talk about why I just bought a 600 LT and why this one just wasn't good enough. So let's go outside if we can actually get out. This is the tricky part again. This is the fuck my life for it. Right, so why would I ever want to, again, buy a second car? Well, first off, make sure you subscribe to this channel and make sure you hit the like button, because I've been trying really hard to actually make better videos for you guys. And I know I don't post often, but remember, for me, Exotic Car Hacks is not like my job or my life. So it's something that I do to help many of you as an owner of exotic cars, not as a thinker or a theorist about cars or as a borrower of a car for a day. I own every single car I review, and I actually have a chance to experience them longer than just a day or 6 hours of time with them. So I can give you real, honest perspectives on not only the cars, having owned 120 plus exotic cars, but also on the values, which is what we're gonna talk about in a moment. So make sure you subscribe and make sure you like, because we're almost at 100,000, and I'd love your help getting there. So what about the McLaren Values? Well, these cars have come out now for the last, like probably about 7 months or so have been on the market. And in the last 7 months, they have now brought in to start dropping significantly in values. This is near $370,000 brand new, and the average spec is somewhere around $300,000, and a well spec car is about $325,000 to $330,000. So there's a significant range of options you can buy with a base MSRP somewhere around $270,000. That gives you roughly $100,000 worth of options you can potentially put onto this car. So where have the values gone? Well, currently, roughly 7 months after the coupe has started coming out, you can now get $40,000 to $50,000 off a McLaren 600 LT that's sitting at a dealership brand new. That means that you can technically steal these cars a lot less than what they're actually worth. Now, you can't steal a 270K base car for $220,000. I'm talking about the money. Remember, just as I teach in my course Exotic Car Hacks on how to drive exotics for free, you can actually click the link in the bio and see how to do that. The money is in the options. So you can get super loaded cars like this one, $70,000 off of sticker, which is pretty good, right? It's pretty interesting that there's so few of them, and yet with only 700 miles on the clock, you can literally get $70,000 off. That's pretty crazy. And that leads me to why I actually bought a blue one. Not because I think it's a good investment before one of you jackasses on there tells me that the McLarens will never be good investments. Listen, it's not about the investment. It's because somebody, a week after I bought this and posted it on my personal Instagram, I Create Millionaires, has decided to pay me $25,000 more than what it actually, that I paid for. So as a result of that, they came to me and said, listen, I have to have this car. There are no other roof scoop cars on the market. I need to buy your car. So they made me an offer I simply couldn't refuse. And reality was, the only reason I bought this car wasn't because of the color, it was because of the roof scoop. And while I love the roof scoop because I think it really gives it character, I also think that I don't love the color enough to want to keep it forever. And since, of course, like I teach at Exotic Car Hacks, the point is to love money more than you love cars, to enable you to get in and out of exotics without ever losing money. What better than an opportunity to make good money on an exotic right as it comes into the driveway, only giving me a chance to not only buy the other car significantly cheaper, but also now give myself even more equity in the other car that I never actually paid for. So how big is the difference between my blue one and my gray one? Well, you're gonna have to find out next time when I do another video introducing my actual fiscal blue 600 LT, which I'm gonna be keeping for a while, and that is the car that is going to end up getting customized. Because while we bought a ton of parts to put on this, it won't be around long enough to really experience the full effect of what the 600 LT could be once it's fully modded. So hopefully you've enjoyed this review and actually understand a lot more about the 600 LT, why it's awesome, why it's not, and why these Senna seats are a must and a not must have. And again, subscribe, like the channel, and of course, if you don't know what Exotic Car Hacks is, if you don't know what I teach or how I've gotten to this point where I'm teaching you about car values and understanding how to leverage cars as investments rather than actual liabilities, then there's a link into the bio that enables you to take my free training on how to actually get your very own 600 LT or exotic, like any exotic you've ever wanted, without losing any money. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you on another Exotic Car Hacks video. Take care.